In this episode of Week to Wicked, Sta-Bil partnered with Hot Rod Magazine to build the ultimate truck for the Hot Rod Power Tour and commemorate Sta-Bil's 60th anniversary. Our team will have 7 days to transform a restored 1958 Chevrolet Apache into a reliable, comfortable, and fun shop truck that will be worthy of the road trip of a lifetime. Follow along at hotrod.com.
So I work for a bunch of different titles, brands, and each one of them have an opportunity to come in and do a Week to Wicked. Start on Monday, hopefully in on a Saturday, maybe even a Friday, but we can go through till Sunday. On this particular build, we kind of all sat down and I had a couple choices that were given to me, and I chose a truck, which I'm happy that they all decided on, and that's where we're at with this build.
It took a while to find the right truck. It had to be a 58 Apache. 58 was the first year that they designated light trucks Apaches. So we searched high and low. We ended up finding this Apache in Bradley, Illinois. This guy had an affinity for Corvettes, and you could tell by the way this truck looked. It had the Corvette swoop in the side, it had the cymbals, it had the side pipes, had a Corvette motor. He was very proud of it. He sent a handwritten note saying to take care of his baby. Here's the trophies that I won with it. What did we do? Took all that right off.
The truck that was chosen for this build was overall a really nice piece. It had some things that need to be changed, which we did before we started the show, but it was a very nice car. Problem was, it was a stock 1958 Chevy pickup, and it made for a lot of work just to drive around the block, let alone on a power tour.
So this kind of drives how my C10 did before I did anything to it, with the truck 4-speed and... Yeah.
It drives like an old truck. And you know, the steering's really slow and kind of sloppy, but you know, kind of the things you expect the truck to be, that's all stock. It's got a straight front axle up front and you know, just a conventional leaf spring in the rear with a live axle, so...
This truck is in 1958, so it's 60 years old. It's a really old vehicle. That's really outdated technology. And so we went with CPP's full independent front suspension on this truck. Oftentimes when you're doing a whole suspension conversion like this, you can run into problems with missing pieces of hardware or needing to get some other kind of bracket from a third party or what have you. These kits, and especially this kit in particular, came with literally everything we need to make this fit in the truck. So all the hardware, all the little ancillary details, we do not have to worry about. Everything's here.
Once we get done with this truck, it is going to be the ultimate power tour machine. It's going to drive right, it's going to ride smooth as glass, and the best part about it is we're not going to put in AC because you are not allowed to do power tour with air conditioning if you have a pre-75 vehicle. So apologies, Sta-Bil guys, but you're going to be sweating it out a little bit.
We worked with Hot Rod a few times in the past, and the team here is just absolutely amazing. And the truck, we had to do 1958. It was the year that the storage formula was founded. We've since expanded that portfolio, so it just seemed like a natural integration working with the team here at Hot Rod.
The only advice I honestly could give someone that wanted to do this for a living, and that's to build hot rods, is make sure you have the love for it and the passion for it. Because I think without that, you're not going to build the product that really deserves to be out there on the road.
My advice as a car builder would be to, if you are teenage years, I would do everything I could to and further your mechanical aptitude. Try to tear everything apart you can and put it halfway back together. You might want to look into a technical training school. I know a lot of them are teaching street rod courses now. Hang around a guy's shop if you know some guy that has a hot rod shop, and just do the best you can.
Yeah, my advice for someone who would want to get into hot rods would be stay dedicated, keep pushing, keep learning, keep burning, keep turning. I don't know, man, you just gotta love it, honestly. I think it's more of a passion than work, you know?
It was a little hard for me to get into this industry, and finally I got in because I had some welding skills and some fabrication skills. So I got into the old cars, which my dad taught me how to work on them, and that's how I got into it.
For somebody like myself that's really fresh into this industry, for me it was all about following something that I love doing. So in order for me to fulfill my life, I needed to follow what I love to do, you know, and that was about coming here, working with classic cars, being part of this lifestyle.
I think as a business owner, my advice to anybody who would want to start a business in the classic car industry or in the automotive industry would be to find your own niche. I think for us, back when we got started, we looked for something that was different, and I was very interested in the steering, brakes, and suspension portion of it. So that was obviously where we started. And we started with the classic truck parts. You know, we were able to grow and expand from there. So my advice would be find your own niche, create your own identity, use that as your foundation, and then, you know, the sky's the limit, really. You can go anywhere from there, I think.
All right, so our build team is getting ready to put the LS3 from Chevrolet Performance. This engine makes 430 horsepower, 425 pound-feet of torque, fuel injected, it's all aluminum. This is an engine that if you want a car to be reliable and you're driving a car on power tour like we are with this 1958 Chevy, you want to go for an engine like this because it's not going to give you any issues. We got rid of that old iron small block and we're putting this in instead. So this is a Connect and Cruise package from Chevrolet Performance. It comes complete with the wiring harness, the ECU. They even send you the gas pedal for this thing. They're sliding this thing into the truck so they can mock up the motor mounts as well as the transmission mount and get on to the next step of the project.
Power Tour started in 1995 with a couple hot rod editors wanting to go out to Power Fest in Norwalk, Ohio. They left from Los Angeles and basically just did a call out of, hey, if you guys want to tag along, we're going to be driving out. So they had about 10 different project cars go the whole way, and that became the long hauler crew. Power Tour encompasses everything awesome about a road trip. You have 5,000 of your new best friends on the road at the same time, all with late model, early model, tons of different kinds of vehicles. And we take over a bunch of small towns with burnouts, drag racing, autocross, a main stage with bands, and a pretty packed vendor midway. So this year for Power Tour, we're going from Bowling Green, Kentucky, all the way down through Chattanooga, past Atlanta, and we're gonna come up through South Carolina and into North Carolina, ending at the Z-Max Dragway. The great thing about Power Tour is that Chevy Performance brings out their motor medics. So if anything does happen to go wrong or we need to adjust the tuning, they're going to be there to help us out.
Chevy's light-duty Apache line includes dependable pickups and handsome panels for all kinds of light delivery. Your money ahead.
This generation of pickups, the 55 to 59 pickups, were called the Task Force. generation of Chevy pickups. I like them because they kind of mirror the styling of the cars at the time too. So a 55 pickup has styling elements from a 55 Chevy, that iconic Bel Air that everybody loves. I like seeing differences in the evolution in design and engineering, and especially when you have 100 years of evolution to draw from. So the first Chevy truck was 1918, and this year, 2018, they're celebrating 100 years of Chevy pickups. To have like an unbroken line from 100 years of production, it's interesting to see as technology changed, as innovation in aerospace and like the space race, how what was happening at the time influenced what the manufacturers were doing and how that changed the cars we drove.
See the great new Chevrolet Task Force trucks now at your authorized Chevrolet dealers.
I always have associated the words hot rod with the magazine Hot Rod. So growing up reading car magazines, this is always what you'd see on the newsstand. So before I would call any certain kinds of cars or certain kinds of builds a hot rod, like, oh, that's a hot rod, the words hot rod were always the magazine to me.
I think hot rod stands for ingenuity. I mean, from the get-go, I think that's how most guys get into hot rodding, is just tinkering with things in the garage when they're kids, and then growing up to learn how to weld or learn how to fabricate anything. And I just think that just getting your hands dirty, making something, seeing a result, and just having fun.
Well, my knee-jerk response is, traditional roadsters, coupes, pre-war cars. I think that's when the brand hot rod first got started. That's what a hot rod was. And over time, I feel like that's really changed, because we're now going on, it's the magazine's 70th birthday this year. So a lot has happened in 70 years. And I feel like there's a lot of, kind of stereotypes that are associated with hot rods that are dated.
Going as fast as you can with what you got in the time you're given to do it. It's not necessarily 32 Fords and 57 Chevys. And I'll use an example from that East Coast Timing Association race. Keith Turk is one of the guys who's helped Freiberger go 200 mile an hour in Bonneville. He points over at a Geo Metro and a Honda CRX. He goes, that's hot rodding right there. If you are in the mission of going fast and you're doing it yourself and doing it any way you can, that's hot rodding in a nutshell.
Well, everybody has a different definition when it comes to what a hot rod is. And in my opinion, I think really anything can be a hot rod. I mean, as long as you are enjoying it, having fun with it, and making it better in some way, it's a hot rod. I mean, whether it's a beat up old station wagon, it could even be a Honda, and I think it could be a hot rod.
It's more than just a legacy brand. To me, hot rod is modifying anything for high performance. And that could be a car, a golf cart, or even your lifestyle.
I'm about ready to hook up my gauges, and I am using the BIM OBD2 interface, which is pretty cool because you plug it right into your OBD2 plug that comes with the GM computer, and it eliminates you having to run individual wires and sensors to the back of your gauges like the old style would. It'll pick up your volts, your tach, your water temperature, your oil pressure. It'll pick up everything pretty much from the plug, so it's pretty handy.
There's been a lot of talk online about overt product placement.
But we have no idea what you're talking about.
There's nothing worse than a show that over-promotes a product. You're late. CPP.
But without the sponsors, we wouldn't have the show.
And you wouldn't be watching this.
But seriously, if it wasn't for our amazing sponsors, none of our programs would exist.
So whether you've been building your project in a week or a couple of years, it's always a good idea to double check the preload on your wheel bearings. We've seen quite a few failures. One common mode of failure is going to be not packing it with a good quality disc brake grease, which we've seen when they run dry, or they get the bearing adjustment incorrect. It could be too tight or too loose, and both ways are going to lead to an early failure. So we're going to go over how to do this real quick. Step one, to pack the bearing correctly. Make sure you got grease between all the rollers in the races. Step two would be to assemble this like you see with the hub and the bearings in place. So the most critical part about this is to make sure the bearing preload is correct. Don't get it too tight and don't get it too loose. As he's tightening it, we're going to spin the hub so that you get the bearing fully seated while you're tightening it. And it should be too tight initially, and it'll have almost no coast. Then you're going to back it off so it coasts freely, and then lightly torque it down again, less than a pound-foot of torque. It doesn't take much torque, but it has to be tight. So after the bearings are adjusted, the last step is going to be to install the cotter pin. This has got a cage nut that goes on first. We're going to put the cotter pin in so the nut can't change its setting, and then we'll put the dust cap on the top.
You know, we come in early on Monday, Tuesday, actually all week, and we leave late. So, you know, burnouts are fun, but my main reason of doing the burnout is more a mental thing. It's completing, it's the icing on the cake. Hey, the burnout's finally over. We can pull it inside the doors, shut them down, go home for the weekend, get some rest, and then I can get back to my normal job here on the following Monday. It seems like every time I'm trying to top my last burnout, and I'm about one short of flipping the car over and continuing a burnout, But yeah, the Mustang Burnout, which was the last week to Wicked, the Burnout was done. We pulled the car inside the shop, closed the doors, went home. Everything was good mentally for me. So I got a call in Monday morning, and the building manager was here and facilities was here, and they took me to the side and said, hey, are you guys doing these burnouts? And I said, well, yeah, it's part of the Week to Wicked show. Well, I was warned pretty sternly that if I did it again, there might be some trouble, and or there would be some trouble. Apparently what's happening is I'm digging up the asphalt out there, and they're gonna have to re-slurry it or blacktop it, whatever they do to fix those patches, and yeah, that's where we're at now.
So what's the plan for tonight?
We're gonna do a burnout. All right, cool. Truck fired up. Couple little issues with leaks, but all cleared up. Everything sounds great. We do have a little issue. This morning we set cones out to kind of block the parking lot off for our burnout, and HR kind of saw that coming in this morning and came up to me. They know we're filming the show, and they said absolutely not. Kind of small little threats here and there, but you know, I can't lose my job over it. So unfortunately, no burnout on this property, and we're just gonna go straight to do a little unveil for our stable with the car cover on it, show them what's going on, show them the truck, fire it up for them so they can see it for the first time, but unfortunately, no burnout here.
Hey guys, how are you? Jeff Dissett here at the Hot Rod Power Tour. We're in North Carolina, and a little known fact, the original owner flew in especially to see this truck for the first time. His name's Peter. Let's meet him.
Hey,
Peter.
nice to meet you.
How are you? I met you earlier.
Good.
Nice to finally see you. And you've seen this red thing a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
What do you think?
Gorgeous. My baby, man, it was nice. It's beautiful.
As they purchased it from you, how is it different?
It had Corvette scallops on the side pipes.
It did.
This is the original Viper red paint that I painted it.
It is, okay.
Yep. So there's not a whole lot of body
along.
mods at all.
I love it because the paint's got, I noticed it's got a few chips on it. This has been on the Hot Rod Power Tour long haul. They brought it from Chicago.
Right, and I drove it a lot.
You did?
Yeah, I went to every car show I could get it in.
So what's the story with the truck? How long did you have it for?
I've had it about 12 years.
Okay.
And it came out of Carson City, Nevada as a big brown, ugly thing. And it took me about 12 years to get it down to this. And it had an original 58 283 Corvette engine in it, so I left it. Just chromed it out and made it pretty.
So why did you get rid of it?
My father was a disabled veteran, and I sailed out of Key West, sorry.
All right.
He left me the house, and it was a bunch of back taxes. So I sold it and saved the house.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's about it. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry at all. This is what do you think of it now?
Beautiful.
You actually want to pop the hood?
Yeah. You did everything that I've always wanted to do.
Now, where's it?
Oh,
look at that.
Oh, it's still got room. Beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
This thing is a rip snorter.
Oh.
Bob from Sta-Bil has been driving this on the long haul. I know it gets good mileage. Do you know where the Sta-Bil headquarters are?
He just told me it was in Chicago by Midway Airport. So that's probably 45 minutes from my house.
Okay, so it's
that's
probably
incredible that it came all the way out full circle and it's coming all the way back to home.
Right? So
cool.
we'll probably live there and get to live 5 months out of the year still.
Come by and kiss it once in a while.
Want to take it for a spin?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh,
Shall
yeah.
we?
You sure? Now I'm going to reach for the shifter. Wow, nice stiff brakes.
Yeah, 4-wheel discs all the way around, right?
Whoa. Oh, it's a totally different truck. It's so tight.
Yeah?
This guy's in my way.
Here, go around. I've got a Hot Rod staff shirt on. Or we can just wait for him to go.
I'm not going to nail it, but I want.
Why not?
My God, dude. This is insane. I love this.
Good.
Love this.
Well, now it's close to home. You've met Bob. Head on over to see Bob. Head on over to see Bob, and he'll probably let you take it out if you want, or take you for a ride, or
take it to prom.
Take it to prom. Meet you around Chicagoland.
I'm glad it's going to a good home, though. I was so worried it was going to go overseas or somewhere, or if I did sell this truck, it'd go buy at a hot rod or a car show in my neighborhood. That's the last thing I ever wanted.
Feedback's been awesome. I mean, everyone has either seen the build or they love the truck so much they want to go watch the build, which is awesome to see. It's been a great way to celebrate 60 years for Sta-Bil with our 58 truck. Everyone's excited to see it. We hope it does really well in the rest of the power tour. We don't really see any issues coming up, but we're excited for the rest of it. We're excited to see what we can add to it, potentially for next year's power tour.